What's this?
Makes you a soup for 24 hours. You're gonna need it.
The whole point of what we do is that no one should have that kind of power.
For once, I'll level the fucking playing field.
I show people the real me.
So yeah, I wanted to dive right in. My first question is for you about A-Train. He has a really interesting arc in season 3. I think the character really evolves in a lot of ways. Starting with the new costume, but then really questioning himself. And I wonder, what was that like for you? Why is this important to see for A-Train moving forward?
I felt like a redemption story was on the way for A-Train, but it would have been very surface level if we didn't dive into what makes him tick. The reconnection that he's looking for with being back in the 7 and his roots and what his upbringing, his family, the things that like actually matter to him. I feel like those things were something that we really needed to focus on in order to understand what it is that he really wants. At the end of season 2, his wants and desires were very shallow. And in order to see inside A-Train, we kind of needed to go back in time a little bit and to figure out like how he got to where he is and the decisions that he's made and the reasons that he's, A-Train, and like the way that he sees himself is just like a reflection of what. And then in season 3, that arc kind of shows you what it is that he sees in himself and how he plans on shining a new light.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see where that goes in the last few episodes, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm dying to. Chace, I wanted to ask you about The Deep has a lot of memorable moments in the episodes I've seen, to put it lightly.
Really? Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know. What am I talking? And there was one early on in episode 2 I thought was fun, with the kind of parody film he makes about the dolphin.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
Without My Dolphin.
Not Without My Dolphin.
Yeah, can you talk me through filming that? Because that's the kind of more exaggerated version of the character, I suppose, for you.
Yeah. It's a very, award-centric movie. Very... Oscar push for that one, for The Deep. But no, we had a blast. That was, I think, the first thing I filmed, coming back after 2020 and not working for a while. I remember that first day on set, it was like so much fun. And it's fun. I mean, they couldn't put the whole thing into the episode. Like the trailer, we shot like a ton more stuff.
Oh,
and
really?
I think there's an extended like X-ray trailer of like the full thing. But God, it was fun. I mean, we got Billy Zane in there. Yeah. And that was amazing to work with him, but there's just like the meta stuff that we get to do, right? And filming some sort of C-level, I don't want to throw out any networks, but like a cheesy kind of cable network movie trailer was a lot of fun. Yeah, we got to do that, and I think Phil Screecher, who's like our resident director producer, is like, I want to shoot the whole movie. Let's try and pitch the whole movie. When are we doing it? Because it was so funny and a lot of fun. But continually Kripke and them get to have fun with the world and do sort of these meta faux marketing campaigns or faux movies and faux trailers that sort of accentuate the comedic side of the show. So that was a lot of fun.
The flashback episode where we start to see a bit of Black Noir's past. What was that like for you to uncover that? Was it what you expected, or were you kind of taken by surprise?
It was a beautiful surprise because, to see Noir's desires at that stage in his life, it's so, wholesome relative to where he is now. Yeah. And so us just getting to take a peek, at who he was and who he was trying to become before things took a bit of a turn, I think is a really nice glimpse for the fans to get.
Definitely. I can't wait to see how that kind of develops as we go on.
We all can't.
And Claudia, I wanted to ask about episode 1 first of all, because Victoria, your character, has a really intense moment near the end. When
I think I remember.
Right, the character from her past, comes up, and then there's that whole encounter, as it were.
Love that word.
Yeah, it's
encounter.
There's a very intense scene. The explosions and the gore and the prosthetics. Can you talk me through what it was like to film that a bit on set?
Insane.
Yeah, I bet.
But so much fun. As I recall, I left set that day with just clumps of my hair missing because there was so much blood, and we're very physical in the scene and we're moving around, and so like sometimes his blood, his fake blood is connected to my fake blood, and there's a rip happening there.
Ouch.
So, but it grew back, so we're great. So we're great. So fun.
Yeah, fun. Love it. Speaking of kind of the gore and the prosthetics, I also wanted to ask you again, Nathan, about towards the end of that flashback scene where we see what's happened to Black Noir and perhaps the reason why he's wearing that mask the whole time. Can you talk me through filming that? Because that looked pretty intense too.
We have an amazing actor named Fritz, who's taken on that task, and it was it's really, as an actor, it's kind of it's hard, getting in all of that, gore, but really experiencing the loss of his dream, because that, like, he wanted something, and just in that moment going for it, taking that risk and doing what he did. I don't even know, but basically.
Tricky.
Don't you love this moment?
Yeah, it was a lot. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm saying something that I can't say.
Yeah.
Totally
But it was enjoyable and difficult.
I was blown away by just seeing Charlize Theron's cameo right at the very start. Can you talk me through a bit about that? And then also, I suppose, the impact, because we've just seen her in Doctor Strange 2, so the timing's crazy.
Right, yeah. I mean, it was so good of her to do. She was, she did it really as a favor to Seth Rogen, because they had just made Long Shot together. And I think she was under the assumption, I really feel bad, because I think she was under the assumption like it was going to be like, oh, you need me to come in for 2 hours and do a thing. But it's like, she said yes, and then immediately, like, we had to, like, get her fitted for the super suit and design the super suit around her because, she's a lot taller than Aya Cash, and so you had to redo the super suit. And then we shot her part in her side of that scene is shot in Los Angeles. But then we had to bring her in for, like, really, I think she thought she was going to stand in front of a green screen and say a couple lines and be done. And we had built that whole set, and I think she showed up that day and was like, oh dear God, this is going to be my whole day. And I just saw the Doctor Strange thing. Yeah, no, it made me sort of clasp my hands with glee. Because it just shows how perfect it works out for us, because it's something that Marvel is doing as well.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously The Boys parodies these kind of things too. So I love that little parallel.
Yeah, exactly.
Also in episode 1, I'm sure everyone's going to ask you about this, but I need to talk about that sex scene in particular with the shrinking guy and the fight that ensues. Would you mind talking me through about where that came from, and why that was important to include early on?
It came from a deep sickness. No, I mean, it was. It actually, it's funny enough, it evolved fairly organically. We just knew, for the longest time, we just knew that, there was an opening sequence where Kimiko and Frenchie fought a superhero. And it was just TBD superhero. And we really only come up with the crazy stuff at the very, very end, once, like, the story and the character arcs are already, like, really locked into place. Only then do we go back. And so we got to the point where, okay, we need to figure out who this superhero is. And so, we start scrolling through, like, who are the big ones that we haven't done yet.
Yeah.
And, someone in the writer's room pitches Ant-Man. And at the time, there was that sort of meme going around of why didn't Ant-Man just crawl up Thanos' butt and blow him up? And it would have been a short movie. And so the first pitch was, well, let's send our character up a guy's butt and blow him up so we can give the audience what they wanted with Ant-Man but couldn't get from Marvel.
Yeah.
And then hilariously, someone else said, yeah, but isn't an ass explosion something we did in season 1 with Translucent? And it's wonderful to work on a show where an ass explosion is on the table, but then someone says, we did that. So, which is amazing. So then, there's only so many orifices a guy has. And so then it became a very logical step. I will say, shooting it was so bananas because we built that penis practically.
Oh, wow.
So that is an 11-foot high, 20-foot long penis built at great expense.
Amazing.
And it's, yet another reason why this is the best job I'll ever have.
You said there was a lot we didn't see. Was there anything in particular you were like, this would have been a cool thing to include, but there was just no time?
I can't remember. There's one where I'm just like running from like an imaginary figure or something, and there's like an intense thing with Billy and I talking about space wars and stuff, but it was really ridiculous and fun. So yeah,
as it should be.
As it should be. Yeah.
Jesse, I wanted to ask you, kind of in a similar vein, actually. You have this also extreme meta moment when you're filming the Turbo Rush ad.
Oh yes.
But obviously there's a deeper meaning to that beyond the comedy value, of course. But what was that like for you to? What did that mean for your character, I should say?
For A-Train, I felt like it was a very interesting side, like metaverse thing to incorporate for his character because it's sort of in line with what it is that he wants, but it's done in a very vaudified way, which is always corrupted and it's always, corporate and it's always misconstrued, and that's kind of just like a perfect depiction of what happens when you have someone who is in a position who wants to use his voice for like something positive, he wants to put out a message, and then it just gets screwed up. And he kind of just ends up in the middle of this big mess, and he's not very happy with it, but there's nothing he can do. He feels like he's put it all on the line, and like he has to just commit to where he is and what he's doing, but he's just very unhappy with how it's working out. Yeah. And, unfortunately for him, that just tends to be like what continues to happen with him in the position that he's in. Yeah. It started off great.
You really feel him trying, right?
Yeah, you can tell he really tried. Like his heart's in the right place, and then he just ends up in a deeper, darker scenario than he like ever thought that he would be when he started that journey.
Definitely.
Poor A-Train.
Yeah. I'm starting to feel the sympathy. Yeah. Kind of speaking along those lines. Victoria, I feel like your character has so many twists. I think, the show is twisty anyway, but your character in particular, there's a lot of like 180 moments. Yeah. What's that like for you reading through the script?
Like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's great. It's wonderful. It's just chaos nonstop. No, I'm always excited when I get a script and there's a new layer that we get to see. That gets peeled. What am I saying? A new layer that gets peeled, and we get to see into Victoria's life. And we get to dig more and more into it. So I actually, yes, it's a roller coaster, but I'm having a great time on it. It's really, fun isn't the word. It's just really, I'm always endlessly curious to know more about her, and so I love that I get to find out more about her as we go along.
I love that. Is there ever a challenge on the kind of flip side of that, just in terms of, maintaining that consistency of character, but you're also being thrown
finding out,
throwing these?
Yeah. No, not really. I remember though last season I didn't know that she was head popper until I got the script, which was actually wildly beneficial because I was playing her as just a woman.
And you don't see it.
As just a woman. As just like this woman who's in politics going through life. And I was like, yeah, she's just trying to get it done. And then, so it plays out. Oh gosh, who does that? So
I didn't see it. I don't think anybody would have saw it.
Nobody saw it.
You just said it. That's the only reason people don't know.
So it actually worked out phenomenally for me.
Yeah, it worked out
not
perfectly.
knowing that. Yeah.
You were in the character very authentically.
Didn't even have to act. It was brilliant.
I thought it was really interesting with Starlight, and we see her when she's younger doing those kind of almost pageanty things. And I thought it was really interesting using Britney in particular and Britney's song. And I wondered if that was kind of a deliberate parallel to the way the misogyny that Starlight faces. And
I mean, to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, I'm a believer in Free Britney, and I mean, a lot of it was before like it all kind of came to a head. But so when we picked it, it was just sort of more during that, she's where she was under her conservatorship. But really, it was just about how for Starlight, it was more how insane to me those pageants are, and how they like trade on the sexualization of preteen girls. So that's insane to me, and so that it was about giving Starlight, like young Starlight, like a dance that she could do a completely horrifically inappropriate routine to.
And it was really effective, and I thought it tied in really well with her arc. So I really enjoyed that. You're welcome. Speaking of intense, surprising scenes, there's obviously there's the dildo fight scene later on. It's another one that I think people will be asking about a lot. Can you talk me through a little bit about that? And especially at the end, kind of made me laugh when she kills him, and then it's in him, and then it lights.
Right. Oh, thank you.
Ingenious.
And again, we knew that Kamiko needed to go on a mission to assassinate somebody, and how she'd already been wrestling with, that she's being used as this kind of violent, blunt instrument. So again, similarly, we lay all that in, and we all lay it in very carefully, and then we say, okay, how do we make this crazy? And because and then we said, well, what would be interesting would be give her like the most epic knife fight we can give her, and give her all the choreography of a knife fight, but it still does. and the best part about it was our prop master, Davin Snip. He had to design all of those dildos because we wanted each one to be representative of a member of the Seven.
Yeah.
And he put so much like lovely time and effort. It's just really a man after my own heart of designing what each of these dildos are, and they all have their own name. And I have been campaigning, like Starlight's is the Starbraider, and I have been campaigning Amazon to sell these things. I'm like, you are leaving so much money on the table. Right. Like, these are effective and fascinating adult massage devices. and yet, for some reason, I keep hearing things about obscenity laws, this and whatever. But to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it seems obvious now.
Yeah, right?
That episode, I also really appreciated Jamie the hamster very much.
Oh, good.
I think a lot of people he'll be a fan favorite. So I wondered, can you talk us through his conception and the effects of perhaps the practical aspect of it?
Oh, yeah. This is great. I haven't had a chance to talk about Jamie yet, which is great. So Jamie is actually a beloved character from the comics, right? And he's just Huey's hamster. Like, he doesn't have superpowers or anything. He's just Huey's hamster. But like, he's in an incredible amount of the comics. And when we were, writing that Russian lab, you're in again, all these things sort of organically evolve. You're in a lab, and we said, well, it's a lab that's working on superheroes. There might be like rats or hamsters in there. And then we were like, well, we need Jamie in there because, it's a cameo from one of the characters from the books. And then in terms of how we shot it, whenever it's just being a hamster, that's a real hamster. There's a real cute little furry hamster in there. But then when he's like flying around and everything, that is our visual effects department headed by Stephen Fleet. And they're so good because like doing a photoreal animal is really hard, like very, very hard. And so to be able to pull that off with like natural fur and that it looks like a real animal and, and it's clawing into the soldier's eyes in the right way. And, all that stuff is tricky. So, that's an amazing thing. You look at something that's moves so quickly and is just and it's so rapid. Often you don't stop to think like the intense iterations of work it goes into to make it.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a tiny moment feel credible.
Oh, well, it pays off. It's a great moment.
Thank you so much.
Chace, I imagine a lot of people will ask you about this scene, but I kind of have to again. I think you know the one I mean. With the squid, octopus, sorry.
Yes.
In the eating. It was
Timothy.
it was poor Timothy. He's praying as he goes, and what was that like to film? And like, what were the kind of practical elements, or was it all kind of CGI?
It was amazing. I mean, hats off to Stefan, our VFX crew. I feel like they just keep getting bigger and better every season. I mean, he was nominated for an Emmy for the whale stuff, and they keep topping it this year. But I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, I remember going in for they did want to do like a rehearsal test, and it's also funny because they're like, it was very, like we're at a restaurant. Like, does anyone have any vegan? Like, we need any vegan options. I guess Colby's vegan, so it was all like edible. This stuff, but they had these. It was very like chopped up, and it's not as. It was not as intense as it looked. There was a lot of acting that went into that, but still, they did have. It was very there was different. There was like different. Octopi. There was different little Timothys. There was like mochi legs, you know what I mean? And like one had like, some sugar stuff coming out of it, maple syrup type thing. But that's all I'll say. But no, and there was one where they just had these little taped strings attached to my face, and someone was down there like pulling my face. It was so bizarre, dude. But it was actually didn't take quite as long as I thought. I think we nailed it in like a couple takes, for each little setup, and that was it. But
amazing,
gross. Yeah, I saw some of the dailies, and it was intense. Yeah,
it looks great though.
Thank you.
I just want to ask a quick question for you both. There's a moment, I think it's episode 4 or 5, where your characters kind of clash in the corridor after a meeting briefly, and you're pushing each other around. What was that like to film? Given you've worked together so long, and then that physical element froze you.
That was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for a moment like that to have a Chace for a long time.
That's the point we were trying not to crack up. Yeah. I mean, a little bit, because they. I actually haven't seen how they cut it, but there was certain shots we did that were really fun, and again, the stunt guys were there, and they took some of the fun,
some of the bigger
hits. Yeah. But it was awesome. It was good to have that moment, man. Yeah, and like that run down in the hallway. So
yeah, we really built that out. It started off. I felt like it started as a much smaller moment, but like as we continued to rehearse it, and as we continued to shoot it, it kind of just became like a more intricate thing. And Chace was, he would just come with like more comedic things, like in between every single moment. And, like the beats kind of just grew into, like I don't know what it ended up becoming.
Right.
But, yeah, we had a really good time shooting that.
Yeah, that was
a long time coming.
Nathan, I wanted to ask you about something else about Black Noir. It's a bit out of the show and more in the the diabolical spin-off. There's there's that episode. I don't know if you. I assume you watched. Yeah, with the finale with Homelander and Black Noir, and a lot of fans were talking about what could that note be that he writes at the end. And I'm sure you can't reveal, but is there anything you can say or tease about what that plan might be?
What I would say is. He definitely wrote something like in a bit of an unconventional way. But the essence of it is, I'm your friend. I'm here to help you. I have your back.
Yeah.
Listen to me and we'll get through this.
Interesting. Okay, I'm excited. A question for you both now. You did that really well.
That was nice.
That's why he didn't laser me in the cartoon.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why
Cool.
I'm
Cool.
Yeah.
Because of that.
It all worked out.
Yeah. It was powerful.
So a question for you both. We've talked a bit about those shocking, twisty moments, but was there anything in particular that you just read the script and you were like, oh my goodness, what is this? I can't believe this. I mean, there's probably lots.
Yeah.
Is there one in particular?
Are we thinking about that
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is an episode.
Thinking about multiple episodes.
I mean, yeah. What was the question?
Is it one that I've seen that we can talk about? Is it one that no one's seen yet? Because I've seen 1 to 5, if that helps.
Gotta say, the last 3 are gonna take you for a loop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 1 to 5 are oh man, I don't know what I can say and what I can't say, but yes, it's happened many times. Every episode, there's something.
Yeah, I feel like every episode there's like a little, like a little,
Like a
little
head
bomb
pop.
that goes off. I know, I can't hear it. There's like a bomb that goes off that you're like, oh crap, what's gonna happen because of that? Yeah.
I also wanted to ask about I've never seen Victoria as well. I can't remember if it's episode 4 or 5, but there's a moment when she's with her daughter and with the serum, and it's really heartbreaking to watch. And I wondered if you could talk me through what that was like a bit and why that's important, I think, for the character.
Yeah, that was actually a very intense moment to read about in the script as Newman, because she's essentially doing to her daughter what has been done to her when she was younger, and she sees how her life has been impacted by it. So she's making a decision for her daughter that will change her life, and there are some elements in there that are not for the better. I mean, there are side effects of being a soup, as everyone can see. Traumatic side effects, emotional side effects. So I think that's a very hard decision for her to make in that episode, and that deeply impacts her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
It is.
Heartbreaking to
It's
watch.
her daughter. It's the one thing she cares about the most.
Definitely.
And she has to make a sacrifice kind of her daughter and for her daughter.
Yeah.
So it's so, yeah.
Multiple layers going on.
That's deep. That was a deep answer. Great.
Super deep.
Yeah. We're forgetting all about the pink now. We're going deep.
Yeah.
I love the pink, by the way. You're welcome.
This was an
talk about
accident.
this.
This
We
was
did.
a
Oh,
lovely
really?
accident. Yeah.
I assume there were texts.
Yeah, no, I woke up in the morning. I'm like, should I text her? Should I be like, are you wearing anything today? And then
Because we both knew we had pink outfits. So
Yeah.
we were like,
Yeah.
what day are you
I hope
wearing
it's
it?
today.
We didn't know.
Yeah, it worked.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Another question for you both now. On a happier note as well. I wanted to ask, but what's your favourite scene that you filmed in season 3? Perhaps one that from episodes 1 to 5 that we can talk about more openly.
I loved one. I loved shooting the last scene in one because I got to do some awesome choreography, and I was really excited about that. Yeah, I was just so stoked to do some physical work.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
It's funny. There's a running joke sometimes about. Sometimes I've taken a nap here or two here
Sometimes.
and there. Sometimes. Well, when we're filming, there's.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
yeah.
season 2, it happened, and I was like, no one's gonna. And I woke up mid-take.
Mid-scene.
And I'm like, no one's gonna notice. And I just like go. And then afterwards, like I think it was Jessie or Aaron was like, you were sleeping, weren't you? And so in
I think they're used to it now. They know. They're like, he's out.
And so in episode 1, I was like, we were filming, there's the premiere Dawn of the Seven scene, and we were watching it in the theater, and I was like, it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fall asleep. I'm not gonna fall asleep. I'm not gonna fall asleep. And Aaron and Jessie are just behind me, and I'm just like, and I wake. I'm like, no, it didn't happen. And then like nobody saw it. It's okay. Then I go over to Eric and I'm talking to him. He's like, yeah, the thing you did when you was like that was really funny when you were pretending to fall asleep. I'm like, shit.
Oh, I didn't know he said
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's great. Don't show Eric this.
We'll keep it private.
This isn't going anywhere,
No,
right?
it's secret.
Just stay in here. Yeah.
I love that.
That's the beauty of that mask.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, the benefits of that mask. That's
Yeah.
great.
It's great.
Benefits.
Are there any other benefits to wearing the mask, or is it sometimes kind of a hindrance or a challenge? What's that just like as a whole for you?
So you put on the mask and you breathe, and the goggles fog up. So I have like about 10 seconds until I can't see anything, and then I have to kind of like take it off and like wipe it. Yeah. It's I love it. Like I have an attachment to my suit and my helmet and the whole thing. But yeah, it's tough to see sometimes.
That's why I love that I don't have to wear a super suit.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, definitely pros and cons, I imagine.
There are
Yeah.
pros and cons.
I would
I
imagine.
love mine. It is comfy. They did a great job with it. The Super Suits team, and
They're phenomenal.
yes, they are. And I love my helmet. And seeing is great too.
yeah. Gotta have that balance,
Pros
right?
and cons.
Yeah,
Balance,
pros and
balance.
cons.
Gotta
Theme of the
sacrifice.
show.
Yeah,
Balance.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of the themes of the show, I wanted to ask you both about what do you hope fans take away from watching season 3, and kind of what sets it apart from what we've seen before?
Great question.
A big question, I
We're been all encompassing.
yeah.
Because there are so many themes in season 3. There's so many arcs for every character. So there's so much for you to take
At
away,
stake.
depending on what you identify with most or what resonates with you most.
Yeah.
I think in terms of
I think there's a lot for everybody, though.
There
Oh,
is.
gosh, this is such a vague
What a
answer.
gen- what
We're
like
horrible.
everything. That's the answer. No, I will say, there's one.
Look at me inhaling. Go, you go.
There were a character who's quite close to my heart. It's sometimes you gotta face your fears and you gotta take a stand.
I think
regardless of what that outcome is.
Face your fears, take a stand.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I'm scared of coming here today, but I'm here.
I'm here.
Yeah.
In pink.
Yeah, you made it.
Oh gosh, I just had one. I just had an answer.
It's gonna
I
come
just
back.
had it
I'm gonna
right
stall
there.
for her.
We got this. We got this.
Yeah, it's well, no, there's a lot of like things that get touched on, and they're just such morally grey areas, and so I think that's such an interesting thing always as an audience to watch pan out, because you find yourself thinking, what would I do in that situation?
Yeah.
So I think whenever you see characters, they're at such, whenever you see these characters in season 3 and you see them at such just immense crossroads, I think that's very human to find yourself wondering what you'd do in that situation, or what you want them to do, or what is right and what is wrong. And what is right and what is wrong?
I don't know.
We have no idea.
That's why the show is here.
Yeah.
I also want to ask quick about the boy band kind of pop song stuff. With Supersonic. The song sounded like very authentic to the era, I felt, and I wondered like, how much was put into that in terms of writing it and composing.
I mean, so much effort is put into all of those songs. So Chris Leonards, who is our composer, and writes all of those songs, and both the music and the lyrics. Like he, first of all, we were friends at film school together, and go back to our college days, and he was one of the composers of Supernatural, and I put him on almost everything I ever do, and sort of he's really, in many ways, my partner in filmmaking. And he is so good at like those songs, any song, like he's a chameleon, right? Like he wrote "You'll Never Truly Vanish" last year, and he wrote "Faster," the A-Train rap song, and he wrote "Chimps Don't Cry," with, and then he wrote these 2 Supersonic numbers, and it's true. He's so excellent at like, imitating the style of those songs, because the direction we give him is like, don't parody it, do it.
Yeah.
I am proud to say that I co-wrote "Rock Your Kiss" with him, which is much like what it would have been like to be in a romance in circa 2005. And so that was a blast. But like the lyrics, and he wrote them, like the lyrics to "You Got Your License to Drive Me Crazy." I mean, I really hope people, because we write full songs, right? Like, so we have to get that one out there. Anyway, those are, I have a special place in my heart for all of those projects.